We still have people joining, so I'm gonna wait about another minute to let everyone get on and get settled. Just as soon as I said that, it does look like it's slowing down now. So good afternoon, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the November System Business and Finance meeting. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ginger Velasquez, and I'm the Executive Director for Business and Finance. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. You have all been placed on mute, so please type any questions you might have into the chat box. And keep in mind, those questions go to everyone. We have a team that's reviewing the questions as they come in, and we will try to get to them all. But if time constrains us, we'll be sure to review any of those unanswered questions after the meeting ends and follow up on those. Also, we will again be recording our meetings and emailing each of you a link to the recording. So if you have additional questions that come up afterwards and need to review a segment of the meeting, or if you need presenter contact information, you will have all of that as well. And finally, always feel free to reach out to me or to my staff, Stacy Balmas or Bernadette Rossmore, whenever you have questions or comments or suggestions. So we are all here to serve you and assist in resolving any issues you might have. And you will also find our contact information on the last slide of the presentation, so you can reference that at any time. As far as announcements, we have an upcoming announcement to begin with today from Nikki Melander regarding FSHA. So Nikki, go ahead.
Thank you. All right. Well, hello everyone. I am Nikki Melander from the Controller's Office, and I'm your new FSHA System Manager. I just wanted to remind everyone that the FSHA application opened on November 1st. For those of you that don't know, FSHA is the acronym for the Fiscal Control and Internal Auditing Act, which is the annual certification process on the system's internal controls. This is mandated by the state of Illinois. A list of critical due dates and additional details on the FSHA questionnaire can be found on the BizFin website, and we also have a training knowledge base set up for FSHA, which includes self-paced training for submitters and approvers. Just search FSHA, that's FCIAA, on either of those websites, and I'll also go ahead and drop those links in the chat. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions, or you can also reach out to your FSHA University managers, which are Dana Lebrow or Tanya Slavchev for UIC and Jackie Gillick for UIS. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikki. And next, we will hear from Aaron Carter and Danielle Green with updates from Procurement Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. Danielle Green. Not too many updates today, just we are finishing up our consulting project. So we've been working on a procurement consulting project and a software application assessment. So there's going to be some more information to follow in the new year on those final outcomes. Our analytics team's been working diligently to finalize the diversity dashboard. It's really looking great. Super proud of the team for all the work that they put into it to make it a functional tool to find diverse vendors and monitor your department spend. So be on the lookout for announcements on that. That team is working on the communication plan for that. And then just a reminder, we do have the system store available. It's a good time to place orders for the holidays. We have plenty in stock. So if you're looking for things for your department that's system branded, please reach out to us. That's all I have for today. If there's no questions, I will hand it back to the team.
Thanks, Danielle. And just in case you are not watching the chat, Nikki did put the FSHA information, a couple of links in the chat. So if you need those, you'll have those pretty handy. Next up, we have card services updates from Melissa Plotner. Melissa?
Judging stuff.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me share, or Bernadette, do you have all our slides or do you need me to share?
I have them if you'd like me to share them.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay.
So welcome everybody. Melissa Plotner from University Payables. We have presented these stats a couple times at different meetings, so I do apologize if you're hearing it again, but I think we're excited to share how we wrapped up FY24. So currently on the screen, you'll see that we have a little over 4,000 P card holders and really close to 4,000 T card holders. But the impressive number here is that in FY24, we had 346,000 card transactions. So as we move through this presentation, I would like for you to keep that number in mind. With that said, we also listed the number of exceptions that were processed by the Card Services Office and our non-compliance that were issued. So while it may feel like if you were on the receiving end of one of those non-compliances that they happen a lot, the volume statistically compared to our transactions is not that large. Next slide, please. So I won't read for you everything that's printed on the screen, but in the card program, there are different levels of non-compliance. So you can receive up to 3 non-compliance notifications during your cardholder lifetime here at the university. On your first incident of non-compliance, you're going to receive a letter along with your DCM and, letting them know about the transaction, what happened, why that was a violation of policy. And then as we move forward to the second incident, the notifications on the next slide, Bernadette, the notifications become more inclusive of others within your unit or maybe, within payables. And it's possible at this point that you could have your card suspended for the remainder of that current billing cycle. But then if we reach a third level of non-compliance, it depends on the severity of the transaction. And it's possible that you could lose your card for up to 1 year. Now, I say we have the 3 compliance levels here. But depending at any point in the process, if there is significant fraud detected, the severity of the issue, you could possibly have your card revoked at any time. And we're happy in payables and in card services to answer any questions that you might have if you happen to receive a non-compliance. Sometimes there are outside details that aren't included within the expense report or within the transaction that, if we can sit down and have a discussion about it, maybe we can work out a compromise. So don't hesitate to reach out if you receive a non-compliance. Next slide, please. So a few of our most commonly top non-compliance reasons that we see issued are using the incorrect card. So using a P card when it should have been a T card or vice versa. We do see personal use. It occurs on both cards. We ask if something happens, accidents happen. We're all guilty of that. But if you notice that a personal transaction was placed on your university card, we would prefer that you get a refund to your university card and then have the vendor switch that to your personal card. The next item that we see quite frequently is the rental of a room or some sort of space for an event, rental of equipment. being placed on a card. Anytime that you have a contract or some sort of agreement in place, those terms and conditions need to be reviewed. So if you are renting a space, that really should be processed on a purchase order. And we do see frequently event tickets being purchased on a T card. So, if you're traveling with a group of students, the travel related expenses should be on your T card, but the purchase of an event ticket, think of it more as like a supply. You have that item in your hand, it's not necessarily related to your travel. That event ticket should be purchased with your P card, purchasing card. Next slide, please. Can you advance it one, Bernadette? Or, oh, we lost her.
Oh no, she must be having.
All right, hang on. I will
technical-
share my screen really quick, and then we will get.
Thanks, Melissa.
Nope, no worries. It is windy today. Okay, so we do receive a lot of feedback and comments about how quickly people receive notifications about unprocessed transactions. So I combined the dates, the days on this slide so you can see the total amount through the process. A lot of times if you see a notification from card services, it will say, 14 days plus, whatever. So this is the exact same information that that card services shares, but the days are combined. So if you can think back to the beginning of the conversation, and that we had almost 350,000 transactions processed, we need to have those reconciled in a timely manner. So several years ago, the card program was under significant review by the Legislative Audit Commission. And there had been a lot of fraud occurring in card programs, not necessarily at the university, but we are one of the biggest card programs in the university or in the Illinois system. And so, with that volume of transactions, just imagine yourself conducting your daily business if we were forced to give up our card program. That means we all go back to PO payments or out-of-pocket reimbursements. We really, really do not want to lose our card program. So in conjunction with that committee, we had to develop some very stringent reconciliation timelines. So that is how this process came to be. So we'll give you 25 days from the transaction date to reconcile that transaction in Chrome River. And then at the 39-day mark, the cardholder will be suspended. And then we move forward through the steps where ultimately, if we cannot get that card reconciled, the entire department's cards will be suspended until the transaction has been resolved. And unfortunately, we have had fraud within our program. It's been identified. We've been able to resolve it, but we continue to all be impacted by the rules which come about from identifying those situations. So I can add from some other questions that we have received. We do our best to capture those expense reports where it's been submitted, and then on Monday, we run that report to notify people. If we can see that your report has recently been returned, we're trying not to notify you immediately after that. It is a manual process. Sometimes we do miss something, but just know we're trying to give you a little bit of extra time to respond if that expense report has been with us and has been returned for some reason. So, excuse me. So a couple of apps that are related to Chrome River that can help you out in processing of card transactions. The first is the Chrome River mobile app. So that app is the entire Chrome River system that would be on your phone or your tablet, your device. Not everybody needs that level on their phone. So I really encourage you to take advantage of the second item listed on our screen, which is the Snap app. It really is a camera app that is connected to your Chrome River account. And so if you are hosting a business meal somewhere, or you have a train ticket, or you have some other receipt, you can quickly take a picture of that receipt, add a short description, and it sends it directly to your e-wallet. So if you're the creator of your expense report, it will be there waiting for you when you create that report. Or if you have a delegate, that receipt is going to be there whenever they go in to create that report. So a lot less buttons, a lot less things that can happen in the Snap app, but can greatly expedite the creation of an expense report, especially when a lot of us are working in a semi-remote situation. Getting those documents into your business office can be sometimes a hurdle that this can help you get over. So when you log into Chrome River on the dashboard, the links to those two apps are provided on your dashboard. You can get to them once you're logged into Chrome River. All right, I am apologizing. I have not had much of a chance to keep an eye on the chat, but does anybody have any specific questions?
Do you want me to read those to you, Melissa? I don't know if you can see them.
Sure. I think I can get to them now. Oh, sorry, go
Okay.
ahead. So is an event ticket different than a conference registration? Yes, it is. So this would be like a ticket to an entry to a museum or an entry to the national park. It really is like a fee to get in. Not to take us all down the different rabbit hole, but a question we received at the last meeting was a meal that involves a ticketed entry. Most likely, if that is a situation you're in, we need to review that probably in a one-on-one conversation. But usually if you're paying to go to an event and there's also a meal included, it is usually a sponsorship transaction. A financial support payment because you're maybe purchasing 8 seats at a table in support of this organization that also ties back to supporting the university. Okay, why can't we have just one card for travel and other items? This would eliminate the non-compliance. So that is a great question, and we have debated that for quite a while. A lot of our other Big Ten institution partners, we had discussions with when we were rolling out Chrome River. And for those schools that had a one card program, they were actually moving back to having two separate cards. Because once somebody was granted a card, it granted them travel permissions, it granted them purchasing permissions. And they found out that not everyone that had a card needed to have access to purchase all of the possible items you could purchase. So maybe when I have a card, I only travel. I don't have any procurement authority, right? So I only need a T card, but someone else in my office doesn't travel, but they do all of our purchases. And with a one card program, there wasn't any way to divide those two out and separate them. So it's always a possible discussion in the future if the programs become more enhanced by the partners, our banking partners. But for now, we're still staying with the two separate cards. Can we use Chrome River Snap to upload receipts for somebody else? That is a fantastic question. I don't necessarily know the answer, but I can find out and I can get it back to Ginger and we can share with the group. My understanding is that app connects directly to your e-wallet, but I will definitely clarify and get it back to this group. Oh, and it looks like Jim answered some of the one card. Why is an accidental payment by an incorrect card a violation? What does it cost the university? Is there a program to deny a payment if the expense is not appropriate for a card? Example, trying to pay travel expenses on a T card. So I'll try my best to answer this one. It's not that it necessarily costs the university any money, but when we are audited by the various entities that can audit us, whether that be for a grant, internal auditors, external financial auditors, they're looking to confirm that our payments are compliant with policy. And so when we have an incorrect card transaction that doesn't align with policy and we have not somehow taken corrective action, that ends up being an audit finding for your unit and also for the university. And currently, we do not restrict the MCC codes on the card transactions. So, that is a code that a vendor is set up when they establish to do business with a card merchant. And so there's so many out there that we don't restrict any of those. So we don't have a way yet to say, if this is an airline, you cannot pay that with your P card. And sorry, I'm probably repeating some of what Jim has in the comments. I was a little behind. The length of the delay between a transaction and the availability in Chrome River can be up to 5 to 7 days. Why can't a Chrome River claim be started without the transaction in Chrome River? So, yes, we have seen the file can take a little bit of time to load, especially after a banking holiday, but usually it's about 3 days. And so why the Chrome River transaction cannot be started is because behind the scenes, there's some really, really in-depth accounting work that is happening so that you don't have to know. So for every account or tile that we have in Chrome River, especially on the T card side, there are 7 different accounts that can be applied to that transaction. And the Chrome River system recognizes by your selections on the header whether this is in-state or out of state, and if it's an employee reimbursement or if it's a card transaction. So it uses that transaction ID from that attaching the card to assign the correct account code to that. So, I mean, you could technically start just the header screen, but you wouldn't be able to proceed until that card transaction appears. Okay, I think I made it through, and Jim has been helping me out answer questions in there. Were there any questions that we missed? So there was a expense report returned because the rental card with the T card was the supervisor. That is a long so a quick answer, and I can read through there and provide some more information. So rental car is one of those things that a travel arranger cannot pay for on behalf of the university traveler. And that is in policy, and it has to do with the insurance requirements that are in place. So the driver of the car should either be the card holder, or the person paying out of pocket for that rental car. And I'm happy to share that link to that rental policy in the chat here in a minute, just in case that is something that you need to take back and share with your unit. Okay.
Looks like that was the last one, Melissa.
Okay,
But we
well,
can
Jim and I,
always,
yeah, Jim and I will be hanging on, so if any other questions come up, please feel free to add them in the chat. And thank you very much for your time, and I will turn this back over to Ginger.
thanks, Melissa. And Bernadette is back on. And Bernadette, I think if you have any issues sharing your screen, I will be happy to share mine. But thanks, Melissa, for all those updates. And next, keeping along the same lines within University Payables, we are going to hear from Jim Martini. Jim?
Thanks, Ginger. And before I move into my little section, we have to protect the card program, as Melissa pointed out. So your help as DCMs, as business managers, to help us implement these practices will demonstrate to people that we are running a good program, which we are. We just have to continue to work on it. The issue of a one card has come up time and time again, and I'd be happy to explain some of the complexities, but not today. So Bernadette, if you move forward, thank you. I'm Jim Martini, Senior Director of University Payables. And my presentation doesn't follow the agenda that I saw, but it's got them all in there, so be patient. Did Bernadette fall off again?
No, Jim, I am here, but I don't have your presentation.
Oh, okay, then I thought I shared it when we did this in Springfield.
No problem.
Okay, hang on. Okay, can everyone see? Somebody gives me a thumbs up.
Yes, Jim, I can see it.
Thank you. Okay, a couple things that we have in the works. There's those of you that have been with the university for a while know that we have had a program called iTravel that was supported and driven by a travel management company that we are replacing. So we had some issues with the previous provider of travel acquisitions, and we're working to get better. So here are the highlights of some things that are coming in 2025. The new provider, the travel management company, will provide dedicated agents to the university. So we will have people that work just for the university. Hopefully that'll help them understand some of the uniqueness of our business. You can book individual travel, group travel, domestic or international travel with these dedicated agents. We will also have a dedicated hotel program manager to help with booking of conference rooms at hotels, booking of blocks of rooms, that sort of thing. So we're hopeful to improve that space dramatically. The system has assumed the requirement or the responsibility for online booking fees. So there are no online booking fees if you use the online iTravel product for airline, hotel, car, or train reservations. There may be some exceptions to that if you're working on a very, very complex booking of airline for an athletic team or a hotel for a group of 100 people. There may be some reservation, maybe some things that require booking fees. One of the most important things is that this should be a seamless transition with iTravel. Those of you that have iTravel accounts and have already gone in and specified your preferences, things like that, those should port seamlessly to the new travel management company. In fact, the provider of the web services that we're using is not changing. That's sponsored and developed, driven by Concur, which is they are simply unplugging their output from our current travel management company to the new one. So the things you've done to integrate or to work with iTravel should survive this transition. And familiarity with the user interface should be there. However, we have some travel planning, travel training planned starting in January. And by using iTravel, you have relief from competitive bid requirements. The travel management company that we're moving to has been vetted. There's been an award made. You don't have to go out and seek competitive bids. So some more news on T-Card. Excuse the little extra apostrophe there. I failed to remove that. Every 3 years, we require individuals to complete certification. P-cards, T-cards, they're on different schedules, but the T-card certification commences December 2nd and goes through February 28th. So please, those of you that have cards, those of you that are department card managers, those of you that are involved in the card program at your unit, please make sure your card holders, T-card holders, complete their certification. They will receive directions, they will receive announcements, but if you could follow up, we could avoid a whole bunch of, I don't know, angst around March 1st when cards start getting suspended. So think ahead. We are working to increase the default spend limit on T-cards to $10,000. It's currently at $7,500. So if you have if you have had to get an exception to spend more than $7,500, you should not need that any longer. Now that's not in place today. We are planning it in 2025. There are several places where that amount touches systems, web pages, training documents. We've got to get those adjusted. And finally, we're working on a revision of the technology used for card agreements. Today, you're pretty much dealing with an old-fashioned PDF and printing it out and signing it. So we're hoping to invoke workflow and gather electronic signatures on card applications, card agreements. We're working with Uber for Business. Had a meeting with them today. Some of you may have received invitations to join Uber for Business. It allows users, this is not mandatory, but it allows users who already have the Uber app on their smartphone, they can get another module, if you will, another account that is the Uber for Business account. And the model is to associate your T-card with that Uber for Business account on your Uber app. We're a little concerned that folks will inadvertently set up their Discover card on the Uber for Business app, and that won't work real well. But we think the Uber for Business program will offer us quite a bit of flexibility and improve the process. Uber for Business will automatically send the receipts to Chrome River. So you won't have to scan it, take a picture of it, keep it in your wallet, whatever you're doing. The available Uber classes are predefined within Uber for Business. So you don't have to think about whether Uber Extra Special is appropriate or not. And we are also exploring, we're not quite there yet, exploring a travel voucher functionality where the university can issue to non-employees, study participants, guests, recruits, athletes, non-employees, where they can be issued a voucher that they can use for Uber to transport themselves during university-related activities. So we're excited about Uber for Business. We think it'll help. We think it'll give lots of people more opportunities, but we're not quite into the voucher functionality yet. And finally, I have to remind you of a long-standing requirement. The IRS requires that expense reports, in fact, any expenses on the university's books, be recorded in a timely fashion. Failure to do so is usually an audit finding. It comes back to the accuracy of our financials, especially if we don't get those recorded in time for the fiscal year end. But we need to practice this every month. So for many years now, we've had the opportunity where reports not filed or not received by payables within 60 days of the date of the expense or the event may be subject to payroll withholding. So I'm just emphasizing here a long-standing requirement. Please get your expense reports completed within 60 days of the completion of the travel or the event. We've had a lot of questions about prepaying for airline tickets. And if you're buying tickets for a conference, the event is the conference. So you probably buy airline tickets well in advance. Those would not fall into the 60-day reporting requirement. That's just an example. If you're prepaying a deposit for some something, again, or some event, again, that's not one that should be reported as a taxable benefit. So I suspect there's a flurry of chats out there about the things I've been speaking. Here's a slide that provides, our contact information, our phone number. We ask that you examine and use the service desk ticket module. But let me jump over here to the chat and see if there's any questions I can answer. And Melissa, you may have to help me.
Yeah, so I
Some
got to
of
the
these-
point, somebody's asking, what is the default spending limit for a P card?
It's currently 7,500 transaction limit. We're moving it to 10,000. Okay, there's all
And
kinds of key cards.
Yeah, there's a question about being set up as a travel arranger in the new system. Like with Anthony Travel. I don't know that we have enough information at this point yet because the relationship is so new, but we can ask.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. So the question was the default spending limit for P card. I believe that is already at $10,000. I thought the question was relative to T cards.
Yeah, and Jim, do you know how the setting up of a travel arranger will happen with the new Anthony Travel partnership? Or I mean, we can definitely find out and
I believe somebody asked, and I guess I can't say I was informed. I was advised that they think those setups will survive. Now, we don't know that for sure, but
there will be more communications as
absolutely.
we work through that process. And then I think there are two questions in here, and Jim may have answered those through his presentation, but the possibility of using Uber for Business for research participants or for guests of the university. And we are kicking off a discussion with Uber, so there will definitely be more information to come. Depending on how quickly that is, we may see that ability come around the December end of the year, or with all of everyone's time off, we may be more focused on that in January, but it will be coming shortly.
To the question about research participants, we absolutely have that on our radar. There's some tax issues associated with that, tax reporting issues, but we're working on it. And then there's a question of book rides for university guests, that's sort of the voucher process, where you can email to the guest a voucher that's worth a ride. We're not quite there yet. All right, I don't know. I'll have to look into the inconsistencies that Christopher Beal is mentioning. I don't know. There is complications about students. If the total amount that benefits the student exceeds financial aid's threshold, that can potentially affect their financial assistance. So if we're paying for a student once a day, $10 a day for 9 months of term, you know, there's complications with students. We'll get you more information about how Uber can be used, and we have to be careful. If we use Uber for business, that's an expense of the university. And we have to be certain that it's a business expense of the institution and not a personal expense for the student. We don't normally pay. Sometimes we do in special programs, I know, but to get students to class in general has not historically been an expense of the institution. Yeah, Melissa answered that one.
I think
Okay,
that was it. Sorry, Jim, did I miss one? I was trying to look through them all
no,
also.
I think I got a personal one here, a direct one. I thank everyone for their time.
Thanks, Jim. And if you want to stop sharing, I can pull up the PowerPoint here and see, share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Oops. Well, I thought I had it on the right, there we go. Oh, Bernadette, I'm sorry. Did you want to present? I didn't, I know Bernadette is having some technical difficulties, so next up is Brian Zump with Business and Finance Policy Updates. Brian?
Thank you, Ginger. So our most recent policy update is the removal of references to outdated U account codes from policies 813, determine the allowability of specific expenditures, and 891, request an exception. Some upcoming policy changes from farthest away to soonest for you. We're going to be sharing a new motor vehicle accident policy. This policy addresses obtaining motor vehicle accident reports for regular drivers as defined by the system. In the next week or so, the chart currently found under Section 22 self-supporting funds will be retired in favor of other currently available updated materials. Also in Section 22, we have policy 22.2 self-supporting funds, which is going to be updated in the next few days with clarifications to account types in its voluntary lapse section. Out of open comment and being reviewed by subject matter experts, we have 811, relocation assistance, and 811.1, one-time moving payments to faculty and staff, and Section 17, consultants and independent contractors, which will be reviewed alongside of Section 19 with subject matter experts, Section 19 contracts, once that leaves open comment. Currently in open comment on the Business and Finance Policy website under our open comment tab, we have 8 13.1.1, business meals, refreshments, and alcohol. This policy has been updated with additional information on allowable expenses for business meals. And please note there's a separate chart to review expense types and definitions, as well as purchase methods at a glance. Please note comments on this will close tomorrow, Thursday, November 21st. So if you have not already taken a look at those and perhaps wanted to comment, please do so today or tomorrow. A new policy, 13.8, enrollment and key deposits, moves content from Section 5 receivables into Section 13 accounting and is available for comment through November 25th. Once open comment review is completed on this policy, we have a number of puzzle pieces coming together with Section 5 receivables and Section 13 accounting, which have already undergone their open comment review, being published with this new Section 13.8 enrollment and key deposits on the policy website. And finally, as I mentioned previously, currently available through open comment through November 25th, we have minor updates to Section 19 contracts following its annual review and evaluation. And thank you, Stacy, for the link in the chat to our open comment page. Happy to answer any questions, and I know that it's difficult. I'm naming off all these policies, so if you want to contact me directly for any links, feel free to do so. I'll pause a moment for questions. Do we have special guidance regarding holiday celebrations? I'll speak with Melissa. In the past, we've sent out some guidance concerning holiday celebrations, but I am not sure if that is up to date and ready to be sent out again, or if there was another unit planning to send that out. So I will consult with the parties, and I will get back to you, Valerie, concerning any guidance that we have.
If you go to the open comment, and you'll need to scroll down to 811, we do have a chart that lists, what is and isn't appropriate. And we do have holiday celebrations in that chart. So you'll be able to find that. So we have in the chart that I stole from the University of Minnesota, just to cite my source, we have different examples. So like, this is a business meal, this is a, food supplies, et cetera, et cetera. We have a definition of what it is, what is considered, a business use of that, and what is considered a non-business use. So like a personal, holiday celebration that you're going out with a coworker, that's obviously not covered. But if it's a holiday thing for your office, then we have where that's covered in there. So I'd encourage you to take it, and everyone on here to take a look at those examples. And if there's any big ones that we're missing, please do let us know in the open comment. Because we want to be sure we're hitting kind of all of the heavy hitters with the types of things that you guys see.
Thank you so much, Stacy. And it looks like no additional questions, so thank you everyone for your time today.
Thanks, Brian. And next we have Regina Harden with MyUI Financials. Regina,
Let me just bring, yep, I'm just bringing up my PowerPoint here. Give me 1 second here. Can everybody see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Again, my name is Regina Harden. I work for University Accounting and Financial Reporting. And I'm here today to talk to you about MyUI Financials, which is our custom report distribution tool. My agenda for today is just to make sure that everybody understands the purpose of MyUI Financial, some of its capabilities, kind of give you a brief overview of what the dashboard looks like, but then also give you information on our training and our resources available. Okay. At MyUI Financials core, we are here to provide everybody, whether you are a professor or a business manager, the ability to access your financial information so you can manage your resources. Now that was done in a very unique way with how they designed MyUI Financials, with these 4 main components. The first component is being intuitive. You will see as I show you a glimpse of the dashboard, how it's very easy to navigate. It allows you the ability to filter, sort, export the data. The fact that the reports that are available through MyUI Financial are the reports that are available in Eddy. The nice thing about it, though, with going through MyUI Financial, you don't have to import all your search criteria in order to get your information. Also, the fact that when you go into MyUI Financial, you will only be seeing information that you've been given access to for your responsibilities. The nice thing is also that it's fast and convenient to access. It's not done through your USC, but your unit does control it in what we call a report assigner. The nice thing about that report assigner, if they give you access today in the system, you will have the access tomorrow to see those reports. And then the fact that the system is available 365 days, except for when it does go down nightly, when it does its banner upload. That being the next feature is how timely the information. If the information is available in Eddy today, it will be also available in MyUI Financial. So like we said, it goes down every night to do that update of basically giving you all the data that was posted to banner during business. And then the other thing is the fact that you can access MyUI Financial from anywhere, as long as you have a VPN connection. So whether you're working remotely or on campus, it's available to you 24/7. And the fact that it is environmentally friendly because you're not printing those reports that basically are outdated the next day since it updates daily. Now, the MyUI Financial dashboard is broken down into 3 sections. The first section being the All Funds tabs, which most people do function in this tab, which is just giving you your expenses. Then you have the self-supporting and the medical service plan, which will give you both your expenses and revenues. And then you have the financial summary trend, which gives you your big picture budgeted information. My first screenshot here is the All Funds tab. As you see, it has your basic filter options with the fiscal year, the period. But then again, you can filter by college, PI. The other nice feature about here is it gives you the About Field table. So basically, it'll explain what each one of these columns is. Then the fact that you can export this data just from here. It also has a search capability. So if you're looking for a particular fund, you could just search for that fund. Or if you're looking for a specific title of a fund or a program, you could search it here. Again, you'll notice down here at the bottom where the information comes, how you have these arrows, which allows you to search sort these fields. And then you'll notice over here in the actions, you have 2 action buttons here. The magnifying glass is where it'll give you additional details if it's available on this particular line, or then the report one, which will give you the available reports that are available for this particular CFO. The next tab, the self-supporting and service plan, actually has 2 sections. It actually has the revenue expense, or OL, and then I'll also show you the GL. Again, you'll notice, simple design, same as it was in the All Funds tab, same about fields, same export, same search options. Again, filtering each column. Again, same action buttons. And again, the same thing for the GL side, so that it's very user-friendly. So if someone is used to working in the All Funds tab and maybe then gets assigned a self-supporting or service plan, you'll see it's very easy for them to navigate to it. And then last, the financial summary trend tab, which here on the side, you'll see all the filter options you could do, where you can go down to each CFOP or by PI. It gives you a lot of high-level information. Also, the tabs here at top will give you more details. And again, it gives you the dashboard glossary and also downloading this information if you wanted to. Now, resources. The first one is the email, which is the myuifinancial@uillinois.edu, which is my primary responsibility to monitor. So if you have any questions or, in terms of access or not seeing information, feel free to reach out. I also am providing a link to our knowledge base, which will give you a bunch of training information on, sorting, printing. It'll also give you some more detailed information on that financial summary trend tab if you use that. And then also our business and finance website with our reconciliation activities, which gives you some helpful job aids on, the guidance for it, the reports that you can use for your monthly reconciliation. Also with My UI Financials, we do offer one-on-one training. So if someone ever wants a refresher, or if you have a new person coming on board that you want them to learn My UI Financials, just email me at the myuifinancials.edu, or you can email me personally, and I would be happy to set up a one-on-one training with them to meet their needs. Also, one big point I want to point out is our My UI Financial Advisory Committee. This committee has been influential in making My UI Financial what it is today. These people have been on the committee with us from the start. They have advised us on changes. And so now we want to bring it back where we want to open up our committee. So if there's anybody else who would like to join us in helping to make this application stay user-friendly, and also bring any updates that might need it, please feel free to reach out to me either by the myuifinancials@uillinois.edu or my personal email. Like I said, they are so helpful to everything we do with this application that we couldn't do it without them. So if you know anybody who's working on the team, they are just so helpful that really this application cannot be what it is today without your feedback. So again, if you want to give me any feedback also on the application or some suggestions, feel free to contact me. Either again, it's at myuifinancials@uillinois.edu or my personal email, rharden3@uillinois.edu. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Regina. It does look like we had a question in the chat. Did you mention that the updates in My UI Financials are live and fed from Banner Nightly? Oh, and I think the answer was yes. Sorry. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for that that overview. And next, we will hear from GMAST, the RIMS coordinator, with a RIMS overview.
Thank you. I'm G. I go my first initial. I'm here to tell you what RIMS is and what we do for you. Let's start with the basics. The university system offices, UIUC, UIC, and UIS all create millions of documents, both physical and digital, every month. And as a state organization, many of these are state records and thus require state approval for disposal. Disposal is not complicated, but it can be a frustrating process. RIMS is here to help. Next slide. The life cycle of records is records are created by each department. Once that record's business purpose has been achieved, whatever the record is designed to do, retention starts. Different record types have different retention triggers and lengths. Some of the common ones that you guys will deal with are financial transactions, which have a retention trigger of the date of the transaction and a retention of 5 years past that date. Once minimum retention is reached, departments can ask RIMS to make a disposal request to the state. RIMS will then make a request to the state and let the department know when it has been approved. This is a state process. It is going to take a while, but it is the correct process to do, and we would appreciate you remembering we exist to help you with this. So you can get to the point at the end of that process that once the state approval has come in, you can actually dispose of the documents using an approved disposal process. That can be as simple as just shredding or recycling, but in terms of things that have some type of personally identifiable information or some other information that requires more security, it may require using a cross-cut shredder in-house or using one of the locked shred bins to send it off to facilities and services for processing. Next slide. We also do storage, or specifically, we help you figure out your storage. There are 3 types of storage. You can have storage in office for frequently accessed or short retention items, such as financial transactions, administrative documents, or student information. You can have digital storage for items that are created digitally and best accessed the same way, or items that require being shared between multiple people at multiple locations. Digital items, whether created digitally or scanned, have that same retention as they would if they were a piece of paper. And then there is third-party storage for items with long retention, such as FERPA compliance, contracts, or records of disciplinary action. Contracts are required to be kept for the length of the term of the contract plus 10 years. Records of disciplinary action for students can take up to 50 years. FERPA compliance is either 75 or 100 years. So we have some stuff that is just, you keep it for a really long time and you will need to file it, but you will need to store it somewhere, and that is likely offsite because of how long you are going to need to keep it for. Next slide. RIMS offers help with both scanning and storage via guidance, as well as helping with vendors. If you have a big project for scanning or a bunch of files that you need to put somewhere, reach out to us and we're happy to help connect you with someone that can either scan it so that you can keep it digitally or find you a place to put it where it is offsite. Scanning guidelines, scanning versus storage cost, and information on scanning and storage vendors can be found on the practical guidance portion of our website. I recently put up the scanning versus storage cost knowledge base article. It's useful information. Basically, it boiled down to, for every box of information you would like to scan, it costs roughly the same to store that offsite for 20 years as it does to scan that one box. So something to think about the next time somebody says, we need to scan all of this stuff so we have access to this room. To better manage short records, RIMS also recommends the use of a RADN plan, also a knowledge base article I recently put up, which can also be found on the practical guidance portion of the website. Next page. For retention, every record the university creates needs to be retained for a certain period as according to the state guidelines. The triggering event that starts the retention period is varied, but can be date of creation, the end of the contract, the date of separation from the university, the date the document was superseded by a new one. There are a lot of them, but all of them trigger that retention. And once retention starts for a record, it must be kept until the minimum retention is over. And we strongly advise that it not be kept for more than 1 year past that minimum retention. Anytime that you have a record that has reached retention, we advise you to get rid of it as soon as possible after that minimum retention is met for privacy and security reasons. The more we keep, the more likely it is there is some type of data breach or someone gets access to something they shouldn't, and that can cause a gigantic monetary loss for the university. You can find retention for most items on our website quick link, which is go.uillinois.edu/retention. And the quick link for our website is go.uillinois.edu/RIMS. Next slide, please. Once retention has been met, contact RIMS to request disposal. You can email the email address rimsgroup@uillinois.edu or use our contact form, which can be found on our website under the Contact Us page. Basically, that email or that contact form, submit a ticket to us. You give us the information needed to request disposal using an inventory template, which is also linked under our homepage on the practical guidance. And by submitting that inventory template to us via the ticketing system, we start the state process. Every month, we collect disposal requests from all 3 university campuses plus system offices and all of the extension offices. And we collect that and we submit it in one big submission to the state at the end of each month, which then starts the state end of the process. We do this every month. So if you have something that you need to get requested, it's not going to be a wait until the end of the year thing or a wait for 6 months. we do this every month and we will process it as quickly as we can so that you can get rid of this as fast as it has actually approved. Next slide, please. The inventory template requires 3 pieces of information for all items that you are requesting disposal for. Any like items can be grouped into one line on this template. We need the category of the record. What type of records are these? The retention schedules on our website can be used as a guide to figure out. Usually the bullet points on the list or the category of records up at the top are going to be enough information for us to make the submission to the state. We need the dates. That's the earliest and latest date for that category based on the retention trigger. And then we need the volume in either cubic feet or gigabytes. That is actually what it boils down to. That's the way the state wants the information that is given to them. They have one person doing this job for the entire state. So every state organization, every state university, every state executive office submits requests through this one person. If you give me a spreadsheet where you've gone through and listed 2,000 items by file folder name, that's going to be way more than the state wants to deal with. And it takes me a great deal of time to go through and collect that into what it should actually be, especially if you just give me file names and those are just people's names, because I have had people submit 7,000 items that were just names of people. And I'm like, is this student records? Is this employee records? I don't know. And I need to ask you a bunch of questions to find out. So please remember 3 things: the category of the record, the dates of the record, and the volume, either in cubic feet or gigabytes. It is that simple. We want it to be simple for you. And hopefully this simplifies your life making a request to us and our lives getting this through as quickly as possible for your benefit. Next slide, please. After submitting a disposal request, items awaiting disposal should be separated from the other records you generate in a secure location while awaiting approval. As I said, we will collect disposal requests from all 3 university and system offices each month, and we submit them to the state at the end of the month. The State Records Commission generally approves disposal in 30 to 45 days after submission, and then they start a further waiting period before we can actually dispose of the items. Once that waiting period is over, departments can use either a third-party vendor for University of Chicago or Facilities and Services for UIS and UIUC to dispose of their approved records. Any information with PII or other sensitive data needs to be disposed of securely. That's where those locked shred bins that I mentioned come in. You can order them from Facilities and Services, and they will charge you for the original initial delivery cost, but they will come out and replace them for either a minimum cost or, in the case of UIUC, for free. So I vastly suggest that you use those locked shred bins for any type of information you are doing that is going to have account numbers, people's social security numbers, information on credit cards, anything that you would normally want to be sure that nobody accidentally gets access to improperly should go in one of those locked shred bins for secure disposal. At UIUC and UIS, we do the same process that the state government uses for disposing of theirs, which is going to be a secure recycling, where we take it from the shred bin, put it in a locked truck, and then transport it to a location where it is taken out in pallets and recycled. It's turned into new paper, so there's no risk of somebody getting access to this by piecing stuff together. I saw a question: how long does a unit need to keep Chrome River documents? 5 years or shorter, since all records are in Chrome River. If you are entering documents into Chrome River, those are going to be considered entry documents rather than records. Chrome River is the system of record. So anything that you are putting in to Chrome River is then going to be considered an entry document or a copy rather than the official record. And Chrome River is being kept separately. Sorry, I cannot give you any information about the state of your request from August. We got July in mid-October. I have not yet heard for approval for August. I'm sorry, I have no information to give you. Next slide. We do offer other services beyond just disposal. We do in-person consultation on records. We help with records projects. We have been doing a records project for the Vice President for Economic Development and Innovation. I believe that's what the office is called. They've done like 10 name changes in the last 15 years. We help with vendors for storage. We do video tutorials on a number of records related topics. We do guidance on best practices for email management and file naming standards. And we are always available to answer questions. You are free to contact me via Teams or just send in a ticket if you've got a question that you're not sure about and you would like to get a little bit more surety on what it is that you need to do or what you should be doing. Please remember that we exist because it is always better for you to remember that we are there for you and for you to use our services than for someone to come some point down the line and realize, oh, we've been keeping these files that have a 5-year retention since department inception in 1946. And having it be a huge, gigantic process where you realize you've got 115 boxes of information that have just been stored in one room for almost the last 100 years. That is actually something that has happened, and it is why we want you to remember. We have retention schedules that recognize what the minimum retention should be, and that you don't need to keep everything for forever. It's a huge security risk to the university to keep everything forever. And we just want you to be mindful of there's a business purpose for any document you create or handle. And once that business purpose has been achieved, there's a reasonable amount of time to keep it past that. Thank you. Last slide has our contact information and some useful links. GoUillinois.edu/RIMS is our website. GoUillinois.edu/retention is the link to our retention schedules. It's actually a page above the individual retention schedules, but it will take you to the retention schedules. And then RIMS group at uillinois.edu is how you send a ticket to us. We are here to help. Don't let your records get out of control. Contact us if you want some help with that. Thank you.
Okay, it doesn't look like we have any more questions in the chat right now. And let's see. So thank you, G, for the RIMS overview. And I believe unless, next slide, please, Bernadette.
That's it.
Okay. Thanks again, G. So real quick, before we end today's meeting, are there any other questions, anything someone needs to throw into the chat for discussion? I'm not seeing anything. So I would like to again thank all of our presenters today. There was a lot of information shared. Also, a thank you to all of the participants for coming today. We appreciate your time and hope that you found the information useful. And as always, please feel free to reach out to University Outreach with any questions. We are here to help. And as a reminder, this is the last meeting of 2024. So we wish you all a wonderful holiday season and a happy new year. It seems so weird to be saying that right now. It's gonna be here before we know it, but we will see you all in 2025. That meeting has been scheduled for January 22nd for our first meeting of the year. And, oh, it looks like we had some things come into the chat, today's presentations. Where can I access the recording? Bernadette, that gets emailed out, is that correct? The
Yes,
recording
it's-
for the meeting?
Yes, it's emailed out and then it's also on the Business Manager YouTube website.
Okay, and the contact information for REMS and for all of the presenters will be in there. And let's see, anything else? Thank you, G put the information in there for submitting a ticket to the REMS group. So again, we will see you all in 2025. And thanks again and have a good rest of your day, everyone.